I'm Gene Grant here in the studios of New Mexico PBS with our Line Opinion panelists, getting ready to talk about some of the top stories in the news this week. But before we start, we're warming up with what we call an off-the-cuff question for our panel. Now, did you catch that GQ article, Brad Pitt in America's National Parks, which included photos of Mr. Pitt at Carlsbad Caverns and more famously White Sands? Google it if you haven't seen it. Google GQ Brad Pitt White Sands. You can't miss it. Now, he emotes and grovels around in the gypsum and some very expensive clothes with some tags on him, the whole thing. And remember this? In February, actor Shia LaBeouf installed his anti-Trump performance art piece down at the El Rey. That didn't work out too well. They shut that down over safety issues. How about back in 1950? The name Ralph Edwards mean anything to anybody? Right? The town willing to adopt his quiz show name in the honor of its 10th anniversary way back when, so Hot Springs became Truth or Consequences here in New Mexico. My question, what do you make of using New Mexico, I'm going to start with you, Eric Garrigo, as a publicity place for, someone would call them stunts or wacky photos or that kind of thing. Do we benefit from that kind of thing? I mean, a lot of folks love Brad Pitt. They could stare at him all day. And in the background is one of our big national treasures. Does that work out well for us?
Well, I think the problem is most people were probably staring at Brad Pitt, and like you could put him in sort of a broken down building in the middle of nowhere, and probably like, oh, what was in the background? What was that in the background? So I think it's, I mean, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place, and so I think anything that really highlights the natural beauty and. I think people are not aware how many times New Mexico places are featured in, not just currently with the film incentives, but it's been just a great place to show as a backdrop for movies.
I agree.
In the Wild West sort of film days, and so I think it's great. I wonder if anybody's going to look past Brad Pitt, though.
Right, exactly. Rachel, what do you make of these kind of things? Good for us?
You know, a lot of times we stand in for another place in these shots. I think when it's clearly New Mexico and identified as New Mexico, I think that kind of puts a little something in people's minds.
It does look exotic. If you don't know White Sands, wouldn't you look at it and go, what, New Mexico? This thing in New Mexico?
You'd be curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Garrity, what do you think from a PR perspective? Again, it's not, the point is Mr. Pitt and not, where he's at, but it is part of the scene, so to speak. Does it work? Does it punch through?
Oh, absolutely. It reinforces and affirms people. They go, oh, hey, yeah, I've been there. I've been to White Sands.
Right.
And more people can say that they've seen White Sands than have seen Brad Pitt. At least in person, anyway. So yeah.
I wonder if the national park directors down there, Sophie, would say, see those footprints right there? Go walk in those footprints. Those are Brad Pitt's footprints. I would just keep redoing them every morning when the wind, covers them up again. So.
I just think, still so much of the country is unaware that New Mexico is part of the United States. My hope in these situations is that the light bulb goes off for those people out there.
Right.
It amazes me that New Mexico Magazine, they're still running one of our 50th missing, right? That is a never-ending trove of, I'm sorry, do you have your passport, man?
That's right. Interesting. I kind of liked it. I thought it was just kind of interesting, but I thought Brad Pitt looked kind of weird, but that's a whole other subject altogether. We'll talk about that next week. Thank you all. See you Friday night.